Joining me now in the studio is spokesperson for Extinction Rebellion, Peter Knapp. Peter, why?
Why are we having the protest?
Yeah.
We haven't made enough progress, really. I mean, we know that the people in this building over here, that we've been telling them again and again and again that no new fossil fuel extraction is acceptable. The science says we need to stop fossil fuel extraction, but they still keep doing it. So we've got to be out there again saying the same message.
In order to save mankind?
Well, yeah, I mean...
But what about this? I mean, obviously, we do realise that the so-called climate crisis is killing people because this poor soul who couldn't face life anymore because he thought that there was no hope. What do you think of that?
Well, I mean...
Is there hope? Should people be killing themselves because the planet is a mess?
That's a really tragic case, and, I mean, I've been close to that myself. I think that the feelings of doomism around the climate crisis is a real problem, especially among people who feel alone. And this is the one thing that I think the protest is trying to address, is to bring people together. This is about being accessible and inclusive to as many people as we can, to avoid this.
But are you including Londoners? I mean, look, I know Jube's read this out. So, Terrorism Act 2000, as the use or threat of one or more of the actions listed below and where they're designed to influence government or an international governmental organisation or intimidate the public. The use of threat must also be for a purpose of advancing political, religious or racial or ideological cause. Serious violence against persons, serious damage to property, endangering a person's life. That happened, I think, at the Grand National, I would suggest. Certainly endangered a horse's life and the rider as well. Creating a serious risk to health or safety of the public or a section of the public, and action designed to seriously interfere with or disrupt an electronic system. Would you say that the acts of Extinction Rebellion and Just Stop Oil are acts of terrorism?
No, I don't recognise much of the language there in the sense of what we have planned. Instead, it's a much more... We've listened to the public, really. We are not going to disrupt anything.
The public haven't voted for you.
That's true, yeah.
So you may have listened to the public, but the public aren't going, you know what, I'm going to vote in Peter.
Yeah, that's true. But we do...
So are you holding us hostage like a terrorist?
No, we do listen to what the public say in interviews and in social media and in commentary. And we do think it's a really important step to, instead of the disruption that has been done, especially on Canning Town, where someone glued themselves to the top of a train, if you remember that.
Was he called Ethelred the Unready, or was that Torquil?
I don't remember his name, but that was an action which was regrettable. It didn't paint us in a good light at all.
Can we not just agree? See, this is what I'm interested in the climate thing. Do we agree? Both sides of the argument. We want a cleaner world. It is already a cleaner world, by the way. You know, the catalytic converter did a lot of that. But we all want a cleaner world. So if we start from the premise that we all want a cleaner world, we can then have a conversation. To me, this sort of direct action thing, and this is coming from someone who got involved in direct action, certainly over the COVID stuff, so, you know, I think there is a time and a place for it. But can we not begin the conversation by turning around and saying to each other, right, we both want a cleaner, better planet?
Absolutely.
Where do we start from? Because it seems like you're starting from a series of demands. We can have no fossil fuels. Whereas I would come from a position of saying, well, actually, GDP reduces pollution itself. What do you say to that?
Well, I wouldn't use GDP as a measure. I think that's really a kind of outdated system. But I would say that the way to engage the public is to bring them in terms of what we call citizens' assemblies. The idea of that is that we select a group of people like people would be for a jury, and they are brought in to deliberate on changes that need to be made. So it's not politicians dictating, this is what we're going to do, and then all the public are going to go, right, OK, well, that's what's happening, like it was for issuing all the new oil and gas licences. What it should be done instead is a deliberation with the public. The public needs to be brought more on board with this, and this is what we call...
But do you think the public are going to be brought on board with it? Because, you know, I mean, Ethelred the Unready jumping on top of the snooker table with his oil-based orange powder is all everyone just thinks is narcissist. That's what I thought. The minute I saw it, I thought, this is your moment in the sun, mate. You're a narcissist. I don't think that's engaging with the public. I don't think that's what you're describing as citizens' assembly, which sounds like a very good idea. To me, that sounds like you're just ruining snooker, which is, let's face it, the least global warming sport ever.
Yeah, sure.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
the group here is Just Stop Oil, and even though they're supporting, to some extent, the action over the weekend, is predominantly not going to be a disruptive weekend.
So we're going to be able to cross the bridges, and if someone's in an ambulance, they'll be able to get off.
Absolutely, yeah.
OK, so it's just fun and games and dancing around with banners.
And it's engagement with the public. I mean,
Engagement's good. I've always, to be fair to you guys, when I've ever gone down to your protest, which I have done frequently, there's always someone there who's like, can we talk about it? Do you want to talk about it? And you can have a reasonable discussion. Unfortunately, you are talking to 8 people who are glued to a road, which is a bit annoying. Actually, very annoying.
Yeah.
And illegal.
Yeah, you've got to bring a small chair to have a chat with them. But
Well, yeah, but the police should rip them off the street, shouldn't they? It's obstructing the Queen's Highway.
Well, no, it isn't within their legal right, I think, to protest in that way. To rip them off the street would be illegal. But to have a reasoned conversation with people is exactly what this is all about. And it's not about speaking to people who are glued to roads. It's about speaking to people who are just going to be waiting for conversations with the public.
What's your favourite sports car?
Ooh, I used to have an old style Mini
Cooper?
Mini Cooper, but I don't drive anymore.
Good for you.